Hello to all of you. In my new video, we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is uncertainty. We have discussed previously, no matter how good we are, no matter how precise our instrument is, there is always a chance of error. If you are using, let's say, a meter rule, it can only measure reading up to zero point 0.1 centimeter. If you are measuring using vernier calipers, it can only measure up to zero point zero 0.01 centimeter. And if you are using micrometer, it can only measure up to 0.001 centimeter. So, no matter how good your instrument is or how good you are, there is a limit, and there is always a chance of error in your measurement. So, what is uncertainty? Uncertainty is basically the calculated magnitude of error, or let's say topped in a measurement. Now, there are different ways in which we state uncertainty. So we will look at this. Sometimes in CIE, examiner asks us to find the absolute uncertainty. Sometimes the examiner asks us to find fractional uncertainty, and sometimes percentage uncertainty. So we have to look out for different methods or these different things: absolute, percentage, or fractional uncertainty. Now let's look how uncertainty is written in a measurement. We have to look out for some things. We have to look out how uncertainties are written, and how can we calculate, or how we can see that this is uncertainty. Let's say I am measuring a quantity A, and I'm writing this as plus minus delta A, and that A is basically 5.0 and plus minus 0.1 centimeter. See, the value that is written after the plus minus, it is the uncertainty, absolute uncertainty. And the value that is written before plus minus, it is the measured value. So if any value is written in this form, A plus minus delta A, if it is written after plus minus, that will be the absolute uncertainty of a measurement. And the value that is written before plus minus, that will be the measured value. So if a value is written like this in your CIE exam papers or in your CIE practice papers, that value is the measured value. And that value that is written after plus minus A, it is the absolute uncertainty. It can be the least count of the measuring instrument, or it can be the half of the least count of the measuring instrument. Depends under which condition we are doing the measurement, which instruments we are using. So that absolute uncertainty is written after plus minus. So remember this part, that if you are seeing a value like this, you now know what is absolute uncertainty. So what does it telling? It is telling us, what this thing is telling us, that if we are measuring the A by using any instrument that has an uncertainty of 0.1, or by using any measurement technique in which an uncertainty of 0.1 centimeter can come, so it tells us that my values are in the range of 4.8 to 5.2 centimeter. So it is telling us that if we are using any kind of instrument or any measurement in which is written like this, so it is telling us that values, if we measure this value using that technique, using that instrument, so my value, anybody, if I am measuring it, if you are measuring it, or if any other person is measuring it, the value will be in this range 4.8 to 5.2 centimeter. There is a chance of 0.1 centimeter error, and it can lies into the range of 4.8 to 5.2, not minimum than 4.8, not maximum than 5.2. So that is how we define uncertainty in measurements. Now, this is absolute one that we have discussed. Now, what is fractional uncertainty? Fractional uncertainty means that how big or how small my magnitude of error in terms of a measured quantity. I will repeat it. Fractional certainty simply tells us that how small or how big my magnitude of error in compare to the measured value. So, how can we find fractional uncertainty? If we divide the uncertainty by the measured value, we can find fractional uncertainty. So, if in CAIE paper, in past papers, if anybody is saying you to find the fractional uncertainty, so you will simply, what you are going to do, you will divide the absolute uncertainty by the measured value. It will tell you how big or how small your uncertainty is as compared to the original value, and that thing is fractional uncertainty. Now, there is one more way by which you can state uncertainty, and that thing is percentage uncertainty. I want to quote my uncertainty in percentage. So, what I do, I simply multiply my fractional uncertainty by 100, and I can represent my uncertainty in percentage. So simply, if I multiply the fractional uncertainty by 100, so now my uncertainty will be stated in percentage: 1%, 2%, 100%, 50%. So that will be percentage uncertainty. So there are three ways by which you can state uncertainty. The most simplest one is the absolute uncertainty, which is written in the measurement after plus minus. That is absolute uncertainty, the error that will surely coming in your measurement. The range of error from some minimum range to some maximum range. And if I want to find how big or how small my uncertainty is in terms of a measured value, we will simply find the fractional uncertainty by dividing the uncertainty by the measured value. And if I want to state it in percentage, we will simply multiply that fractional uncertainty by 100. So that is how we state these three different types of uncertainty. In CAIE, they will ask sometimes fractional, sometimes percentage, and sometimes absolute uncertainties are there, and you need to calculate it for some values. So that is how the question answers will come in examination. So that is all for this video. This is a very short video where we are only discussing the uncertainty. In the next video, we are going to discuss how we can calculate uncertainty in calculated values. So goodbye. Meeting you in the next video very soon.